For women who claim to be so happy into themselves, some of these toxic old biddy sisters, they sure spend a lot of time trying to convince us of that happiness. I wonder why. You would think they would just ride off into the sunset, be on some island sipping Mai Tais and forgetting about us, but yet they make time to try to convince us of how little they need us, even though we constantly hear from them complaints about not getting something from us. Interesting. But I submit to you right now, another such toxic modern American black woman who is setting herself up to be made an example of. So without further ado.
See, I was minding my own business.
So she's already chosen to start off with a lie, because if she's minding her own business, how the hell is she responding to social media, other people's business? But let's continue.
I was going to eat some yogurt and have a good day.
And not that we give a damn what's on your menu, but you could still eat the yogurt and fuck off and have a good day. But again, let's continue.
But now I got to put this yogurt down, break out a parade rest, and pop to attention so I can address some foolishness.
So all of this performative language just to tell us that you heard something that you don't like, and now you're going to stop minding your own business to give your take on it. Just fucking be honest. Be honest. God damn.
Why is this man, several different men, once again in my comments talking about you older women are bitter and you're alone and you're lonely?
Well, that's simple. It's because they have eyes and ears that work. These men objectively notice you. They hear the words coming out of your mouth, which is typically the same cookie cutter, misandrist, toxic feminist rhetoric that other women like you habitually use, trying to supposedly uplift yourselves at the men's expense, consistently promoting your hatred of men, which often gives the impression that you may be a lesbian. And time again, it's like you're trying to convince us that you have a higher quality of life than what is truly your experience. But do sound off.
Okay, y'all. Hang on a second. I got this.
Old woman, cut the shit and just get to the point.
First of all, we left you guys, you weak men, to have some peace before your sad selves tried to break us into pieces.
But first off, men don't just set out to break women. That is the same toxic cookie cutter rhetoric that the lion's share of you unwanted misfit women continuously use because you want to deflect from the simple truth that either you're intellectually incapable of making good, sound choices in relationships, or you purposefully, willfully make these poor choices because you lack discernment, because you lack integrity, because you lack self-esteem, which is your own burden to bear. And I'm surprised that you all who continuously claim to be the most highly educated women in the country don't seem to notice that your complaints are typically the same complaint about your failed relationships with the men that, from what you tell us, you already considered to be beneath you from the onset. Make that make sense. If you hold these men in such low esteem, then how is it that you choose to allow those men to not only be in romantic relationships with you, but potentially between your thighs?
For those of us, unfortunately, who were broken into pieces, God put us back together. And
well, now you want to drag the Lord into your lies too. In most cases, you all demonstrate to us that the Lord didn't fix you. No, what you did is the same thing that countless other toxic American black women do. to even further deflect and avoid any and all personal accountability. You run to church. You run to church to find excuses so that you can blame your poor decision making on the world having tempted you, as opposed to you having been a worldly woman the entire time.
So we stronger and we smarter.
Yet another lie. Just like the first lie about you being put back together. If you were put back together by the Lord, you would behave differently. You would have a more Christ-like outer appearance, presentation to the world. You would be a much more compassionate, loving woman, as opposed to this embittered monstrosity that we're listening to right now. But even so, if you were truly stronger, then it wouldn't be such a task. It wouldn't be such a burden for you to take accountability for your poor decision making. And as for being smarter, how? You're still making the same mistakes, and then you add to them by making additional mistakes. But again, sound off.
We're more valuable than we were before.
More valuable to who? Every time you all tell us that you're more valuable, we need only look at your personal life and see that you have no man. If you were so valuable, you would have denizens of men tripping over themselves, trying to compete for your affections, trying to compete for your hands, and you wouldn't even have time to make videos like that one. What are you talking about?
But let me tell you something. If you see us on the beaches in Santorini and Mykonos,
and like I mentioned before, you're more than likely going to be there without a man of your own. And then 9 times out of 10, if we do see a man with you, well, that's because you've indulged yourself in that island or what province's local sex trade. Yeah, we know you purchased dick. Okay.
I promise you, we ain't thinking about none of y'all. We ain't missing you at all. We're thinking about what a great time we're having with that peace of mind, with our own money, and no foolishness.
Oh, stop it. First of all, we don't care whether or not you go on your little mini vacay or not. But even so, why would the men who don't want you have any expectation of you to be thinking about them while you're over there? Nobody brings sand to the beach. Most highly intellectual, you all keep telling us. Most highly educated, you all keep telling us. Damn. No, when it comes to what preoccupies your thoughts, number one, it's the hope and prayer that nobody within your immediate circle, nobody whose judgment actually matters to you, stumbles upon you and witnesses your indulgence in the local sex trade. Because you don't want that getting out. And then secondly, is the hope and prayer that with all the money that you're going to shell out for this little vacation and shell out for said sex trade, that at least the dick was worth it. Because heaven forbid you look and feel stupid here, but then also look and feel stupid over there too.
See, our lives are not about the drama anymore.
Well, great. We could only hope for as much for you. However, how is it that you don't see your own hand in things? Like how instead of entertaining relationships with solid, productive, decent men, you expressed a preference for the type of men that would bring drama into your life. That was on you the entire time.
That you all bring because you're too weak in your masculinity to man up and do what you need to do in order to have a good woman like us.
Now slow your roll, Aunt Esther. First off, who the fuck told you that you were good women? Good women don't choose non-masculine men in the first place. They choose decent men. They choose honorable men. They don't choose lowlifes, degenerates, criminals, whoremongers. They don't choose those type of men. And by the simple fact that that's what you've invited into your life for God knows how long, what makes you think that you're a good woman and women like you are supposedly good women? No, you are equally trash women who don't want to admit that you were trash. You're the ones trying to inflate your value. You're the ones trying to convince us that you're significantly better women than you have ever been, are now, and more than likely will ever be, because your preferences really haven't changed. The only thing that's changed is the color of your hair, the number of your age, and where you're deciding to be your same low-life degenerate selves.
You see this gray? LAW. Life and wisdom.
In your case, more like lost and wayward, or lamentable and wasteful.
Are you looking at me? Baby, I don't want you.
Oh, boy. Ma'am, please understand. When women like yourself tell us on and on about how you don't want these men, it is not a surprise to us. It's highly typical of women like yourself to say things like that. We know, we understand, we see that there's no difference between women like you making that statement and that of little children who want to play team sports with teams that have summarily rejected them time and time again because they don't want them. And in response, those little children say, well, I didn't want to play with them anyway. Yes, you did. You just never had the option because they didn't want to play with you. By the same token, you say you don't want these men. You never had the option because the men that you want don't want you.
Because I understand my worth.
Yet another lie. Ma'am, if you truly understood your worth, you would have a much more humble, friendly, and inviting disposition than what you're expressing right here.
I got high self-esteem, high confidence.
More like high delusions of grandeur.
And I grind every day.
Congratulations, you're a working adult. But what choice did you have? You don't have a man.
So whatever little bit you have to offer, I'm not interested in it.
Which is irrelevant anyway if nobody's trying to give what little they have to you in the first place.
So please be aware that just because we are alone, we are not lonely. We choose to be alone.
Again, outside of those among you who have chosen the DL approach and engage in lesbian activities, the overwhelming majority of you don't have any other choice, any other option anyway.
Because we don't need your foolishness anymore.
Ma'am, what's foolish is women like you making videos like that one, presumably to be speaking to us men, when the truth of the matter is, it's just performative bullshit that you put on to impress other women. Other flawed, hopeless, misfit, misguided, undesirable women. You're putting on a show for them to try to convince them that you're one of them and that somehow you all are making out ahead in this social dynamic. A dynamic, mind you, where the men are engaging in various movements to get the hell away from you. They're showing you their lack of interest in women like you by getting with other women, younger women, better, feminine, more cooperative women within the Americas, within our race, and even outside of our race, or away from American women altogether, and instead are getting into international or interracial relationships with other superior women. You're not being picked. The women that you claim to represent are not being picked. Nobody wants you. And it's primarily because of your insufferable, intolerable, abrasive behavior.
Did you get that message? You're welcome.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is how the cycle of delusion perpetuates. Because women like her, who would be presumably the elders, they take their own toxic, counterproductive ideology, try to convince other women that they are one in the same with each other, and then try to convince those other women to internalize the same self-defeating principles, ideologies, and values, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. Good luck and Godspeed.